Sit up, sit up.
Vegan cheese by Daya and vegan cream cheese. weighed in at 202, 203. But I feel it. One of us should have stayed big. Seriously. Oh, we're about to read. I was hungry, man. I had some stew. Like a little more than half a bowl. It just wasn't going to cut it. The ganale, quarter of a ganale. I was like, dude, I got to eat something. It was time for me to eat something, but not a whole lot because I can't eat a whole lot. But damn. Something's going on, y'all. I don't ignore my body or anything. Something is going on. I look at Brazil, and even though they lax the gun laws, so less people are being murdered, there's still guys on motorcycles robbing people. And when the people run away, shoot them in the back. Looking at it was a year or 2 years ago when that idiot in PA, the guy who had, what do you call it? When he had that, I forget what it's called, but he was driving, he was functioning. And that little punk negro, African American, or whatever you want to call him, was making jokes at him as if it was funny. Oh, I think he might have been a pale skin or Spanish. And he hit him. I mean, they caught him. But this is not random. This happens so often. It's a microwave. I actually warming up beans. So it might be, you might hear that for a while. I'm heating up right now. And my hat's off. I commend the brothers in Detroit at the black-owned female liquor stores like we need them, but at the different stores and stuff, and restaurants, who go out there armed and protect them. Now, y'all see in Detroit, I'm just giving y'all a little news update about certain things. In Detroit, not too long ago, the city workers were pouring concrete in the drainage system when the floods happened, was causing backing up into people's basements. But yet y'all still want to vote out there and vote for these worthless Negroes and these sickly pale skins and all these other foreign interlopers, Hindu, whatever. These are not the good ones, not like the ones I know. These ones would never do this. And yet there's no agenda. You got the felonious ATF and the NFA that was created out of racism, as if we're supposed to abide by that. No. When it says the Second Amendment unalienable, I don't give a damn what's going on, where they train, where they fought. There's a whole lot of folks that are sitting there saying, but that's why I keep telling you there's something else going on, and a lot of you people still want to adhere to the lies. The Negroes, the so-called blacks, the fake, the goofy African Americans, those are the real indigenous people of this land, the Caribbeans. It doesn't matter what you think or how you feel, my little pale skins, playing us as if that's all right. How can you be so lucrative in stupidity? And I said what I said without hate, no malice. What you do is hate and malice. A lot of y'all come from orphans. You don't even know your origin. regardless of who you originally come from. And that's the system that is being utilized. And I meant when I said the president ain't nobody to my people. He ain't no king, no queen, no nothing. He's part of the sacrilege on the soil, protected by idiots. No matter how you feel and what you think, that's the reality. And more people are learning this. More and more people. I was so hungry. This is so good. I'm gonna get into reading here in a minute. Let me just finish this. I don't want to make, I gotta throw this away. Can't put this in the sink. My apologies. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get right into reading. There's more I want to say. Whenever you look up into the so-called sky, you look with the eyes of lies. Stop looking with what they taught you. Start looking with your own eyes, your soul. And maybe you'll see something else. I just thought I would share that little bit of tea, information, whatever you want to call it. This is yours. Thank goodness how much thing was on. That would have hurt my little foot. Acupressure. No hate. I don't say this stuff. I don't know what that is no more. I know I've used it. I've utilized the word. I don't really get it no more. Hate is so empty. I say if you actually feel something, I know some of you real intellectually intelligent people, you got people utilizing that term as if it's so loosely now, as if it means something, and yet they're so vague, because if they say that, it alludes to something else. Look at they're talking about Lucky Charms is healthy. Is healthier than steak? Neither one of them is healthy. The games is this G thing is just. But I mean, it's up to y'all what you want to hear or listen to or believe. I don't know. Somebody said, hey, did you? I says, no, man, don't tell me that dumb stuff. I don't pay attention to that. No, man. I says, let me look at it. So, you know what I mean? I think it's something retractable. So maybe they already pulled it down. I don't know. Let me have a gander. I want to laugh so hard right now. I mean, I really want to laugh hard. I really, really want to laugh. All right, let me pull it up. Let's see. Listen, it's still there. New government-funded food pyramid says Lucky Charms are healthier than steak. Darius Moslafarian, I'm gonna pull him up and show you what it looks like, so that way you will know that I was not making something up, who was one of the main organizers of the event and is currently Dean of the Tufts School of Nutrition, presented a newly designed food pyramid that only cost 3 years of time and millions of taxpayers' dollars. The new wisdom they found: Lucky Charms are healthier than steak. Now let me pull this individual up, if you don't mind, so you can see what it looks like, and therefore it is not me anymore. And there's a reality to the Mozaffarian, Mozaffarian, as if he's Phoenician. This is what he looks like. And of course, he is part of that NIH, or, you know, Charles Schwab and all that stuff. Bill Gates funded scientists. Now, let me do something else. I have to do this. Born August 19, 1969, 3 years after me, as a cardiologist, special advisor to the provost, dean for policy, and John Mayer professor at the Joel D. J. and Dorothy R. Friedman, as in Jewish Friedman, not Fried, School of Nutrition Science and Policy at Tufts University. Remember I expressed that the first pyramid was rewrote, and the woman that put it up there had no cheese, no dairy, and no breads, and none of that. So as usual, when you pull up the biography on these individuals, it never gives you and people want to continue to argue who they vote for and this, that, and you have actors in the thousands working with certain government entities with pink and blue hair, but they're giving these signs when they're locked up. You still don't want to believe in something, huh? You don't want to believe in yourself. I shared a video. Now, I conveyed with individuals, they have no copyrights out there, they don't own it. So I reached out to the individuals. So if they attempt to do copyright here, that means they want to silence, or they want to, you know, and that shows that they're weak. Because if they're in a position to make the next move, to which I know they're about to, you don't. I know they are. These are the individuals. He's a scientist in cardiology because he wants to find out how to make it stop working, as so many of them do. Let me do this. Sonia Yi Lang, Tim and Rivera. They are using all the half-breed, pale-skin identities they enumerated people with in Hollywood, media, and everywhere else to subjugate the true people as if they're going to win doing this. Because they have found out by you giving blood and tissue, Miss Henrietta and everybody else, to murder you for no good reason. These individuals are sick. And you don't want to listen still. You want to stay where you're at, right? You don't know the first thing about honest and true change. Because you know what comes with you? Like fake Moses at the mountain. Whining and crying because you're lazy. Because nothing's working the way you need it to work. I know people have land. And they wouldn't let half of you on it because it's the way you think. Regardless of what you're doing here. I know how a lot of you think. You have not conscripted yourself to betterment and change. Yeah, This does not denote our lighter brothers and sisters, I mean our pale sides, of whatever ideology or narrative. From the fact that they know who we are and they will stand with us. It doesn't denote that. It's bigger than that. So they hide his ancestry because it's fake. And I know how to key in on things, and I know what words to use. And when you find somebody in position right now, regardless of the political arena, just know. Oh, you can find it. I can find it. It's not hard. What I'm saying is, what should first pop up, it is not. So if that doesn't expand something to you, let's get into reading. I've had my fill of all the libations of sickly things walking this earth, flying above this earth, deep in the cellars of our mother, and playing in the waters, yet to have really felt what is really there. So let's go into Arthur Koestler's The 13th Tribe. I hope this interests you. I'm only going to read a small chapter of it, because this right here I can read forever. It is perhaps not surprising. This is Arthur Koestler, The 13th Tribe, the startling new discovery about the true ancestry of the Jewish people, and it will cause a stir, John Barkham reviews. It is perhaps not surprising, given these circumstances, that in 732, after sounding Khazar victory over the Arabs, which I read that, I just wanted to remind you where we're at. So we go over here contemptuously. I just wanted to give you that. We're actually right here, and that will remind you. That's how I remember things. Because remember when we last signed off, it was Khazars and cannot be considered as accidental, but must be regarded as a sign of the independent policy pursued by that kingdom. And that was basically his investigation, and as far as Islam and Christianity of the Byzantine era. So which leaves us only slightly more bewildered than before. Yet whereas the sources differ in minor detail, the major facts are beyond dispute. What is in dispute is the fate of the Jewish Khazars after the destruction of their empire in the 12th or 13th century. Now, they were being hunted for a reason. And you can see right now. And Germany was not attempting to murder everybody or fight everybody. He wanted that which he was from, and knew the insides of the secrets of the world, what was going on, and the destruction of it, to which he did not want to see, like many others. And when the schemes were being plotted, and why do you think World War I happened? And 3 cousins went to war with one another, and who and how was the antagonist? Somebody's boy died, right? And it was to start the perilous journey of destroying the world which protected, as we protected all the lives of this earth. And here we now look down upon all the ignoramuses and the sickly, the undivine, the unrighteous, the unholy. Just to use those terms loosely. Beyond dispute. What is in dispute is the fate of the Jewish Khazars after the destruction of the empire. In the 12th or 13th century, on this problem, the sources are scant, but various late medieval Khazar settlements are mentioned in the Crimea, in the Ukraine, and in Hungary, to which they were chased out of. Poland and Lithuania, did that just enlighten you to something? Do you know what Crimea is and Ukraine? The general picture that emerges from these fragmentary pieces of information is that of a migration of Khazar tribes and communities into those regions of Eastern Europe, mainly Russia and Poland, where at the dawn of the modern age, the greatest concentrations of Jews were found. This has led several historians to conjecture that a substantial part, and perhaps the majority of Eastern Jews, have hints of world Jewry might be of Khazar and not of Semitic origin, to which they are not. Do you know what Shem literally means? Get away from the Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Do you know what Shem actually means? Shemitic. Do you know what it means? I've asked a number of so-called Hebrew individuals. They don't know because they've been misled, misguided. Look into it with open eyes and an open heart, an open will. It is bigger than what you can gather. The far-reaching implications of this hypothesis may explain the great caution exercised by historians in approaching the subject, if they do not avoid it altogether. Thus, in the 1973 edition of the Encyclopedia Judacia, they even have their own, the article Khazars is signed by Dunlop, not tire, but yes, racing, yet no, yes. But there is a separate section dealing with Khazar Jews after the fall of the kingdom, signed by the editors and written with the obvious intent to avoid upsetting believers in the dogma of the chosen race. Who else would you put at the bottom if you need everything upside down, inverted, backwards, in reverse? Is it so hard to, and that's why I keep saying, stop listening to these wayward melanated brothers. Regardless of all the good they're doing, they don't know. And I see some of y'all in some of their posts liking and saying dumb stuff. Sometimes you need to be quiet when you don't know what you're saying. Do I need to say your name? The Turkish-speaking Karaites, and semicolons, a fundamentalist Jewish sect of the Crimea, Poland, and elsewhere, have affirmed a connection with the Khazars, which is perhaps confirmed by evidence from folklore and anthropology as well as language. There seems to be a considerable amount of evidence attesting to the continued presence in Europe of descendants of the Khazars. What do you think all of them are? How important in quantitative terms is that presence of the Caucasian sons of Japhet in the tents of Shem? And they were all Negro. One of the most radical proponents of the hypothesis concerning the Khazar origins of Uri is the professor of medieval Jewish history at Tel Aviv University, another lie, A.N. Poek. His book, Khazaria, in parentheses in Hebrew, which it is not, was published in 1944 in Tel Aviv, in a second, because even they renumerated what Hebrew language it was not. It was Tartarian language. Anyway, was published in 1944 in Tel Aviv, and a second edition in 1951. In his introduction, he writes that the facts demand a new approach both to the problem of the relations between the Khazar Jewry and other Jewish communities, and to the question of how far we can go in regarding this Khazar Jewry as the nucleus of the large Jewish settlement in Eastern Europe. The descendants of this settlement, those who stayed where they are, those who immigrated to the United States and to other countries, and those who went to Israel, Palestine, constitute now the large majority of world Jewry. This was written before the full extent of the Holocaust was known, but that does not alter the fact that the large majority of surviving Jews in the world is of Eastern European, and thus perhaps mainly of Khazar origin. If so, this would mean that their ancestors came not from the Jordan, but from the Volga, not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus, once believed to be the cradle of the Aryan race, and that genetically they are more closely related to the Hun, Uighur, and Magyar tribes than to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Ishak, and Jacob. Should this turn out to be the case, then the term anti-Semitism would become void of meaning, because it wouldn't have to apply to the actual people who have been plagiarized with anti-Semitism. Been beguiled with anti-Semitism, which that was created somewhere in 42. Will become void of meaning, based on a misapprehension shared by both the killers and their victims. The story of the Khazar Empire, as it slowly emerges from the past, begins to look like the most cruel hoax which history has ever perpetuated. And we will stop there. Just like when I was in Germany, I come to find out it was mostly gypsies of all kinds. And our people actually helped fight in the Blitzkrieg. That's why we were defeating everybody. and those losses were paramount to our defeat. And there were many Khazars within Hitler's ranks, created meth, and also, just like General Lee, betrayed and told lies. Why do you think all of them weren't murdered, hung, or executed by firing squad? Be smarter than the system, people. They've been wanting to get back for a long time, but for what reason? They've created all the problems and the mischiefs. Pornography, everything. It's all, there's books on it written by them. So let's get into heaven, bearers. One day you will wake up out of that coma and you will detox yourself. And you'll realize, man, ain't nothing wrong with smelling a little squeak, squeak, squeak to make changes. Heaven bearers, the Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood. I'm not speaking hate or violence. Trust me on that. I'm speaking in a way that maybe you can attest to that, but you need to look beyond what I'm saying. Janine Helen, there she is, little lovely in South Africa. Turn down a little more. Well, that was so good. Damn, did I miss the garbage? No, I got it. Got a big round garbage can. It's like, looked like a perfect spittoon, but so big. Anyway, walks up behind her and she points to the statue in the middle of the fountain. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay. Good. Here we go. This is where it's getting kind of meaty. Malcolm has had his hands full on the other side of the earth. Samira refuses to consent to putting just over 1,000 of her Phoenicians to death. Listen to that. Malcolm has had his hands full on the other side of the earth. Doesn't mean round, people, and it means another place. Samira refuses to consent to putting just over 1,000 of her Phoenicians to death. She is a proud and an unreasonable woman, and this is precisely why Azrael is so fond of her. Now, do you get those Zionists who don't care about religion nor the depths of their so-called people? You need to know this thing is bigger than you can even graft yourself into. Malcolm knows he needs to pack his bags and make the long journey over to Asia to try and convince Samira that the decision has already been made for her and that she doesn't actually have any say in the matter. Azrael has the final say. He is their unelected leader and no one has ever questioned this. He arrives in Asia and arranges to meet with her in Hong Kong. Immediately upon his arrival, the day isn't warm. Immediately upon his arrival, the day isn't warm, but the sun is shining bright and he knows the day will end bitterly. He waits for a horse-drawn carriage to pass him and he walks towards the town square. He can see her standing by the majestic fountain in the middle of the square and approaches her carefully. "You see this half-man, half-fish being?" she asks as he walks up behind her, and she points to the statue in the middle of the fountain. The Tartarians that live here claim that he would stroll around the town square late at night and bless the water. He did this out of the goodness of his heart, apparently to make sure that anyone who had any pain, sickness, or ailment would take a sip and be forever healed. What does that sound like, people? She spits, and I didn't want to say that word, but she spits into the water and laughs. Her voice reminds him of the shrieking owl that would wake Bonnie up in the middle of the night. Back home, and he cringes slightly. She is wearing a bright and red dress, and the hem is covered in mud. There is a small tear on the side of her dress, and he can't help but wonder what she has been doing that morning. They are all so pathetic. Don't you think, Malcolm? She turns around to face him, and her eyes are as black as the night sky in midwinter. She licks her lips, and her eyes search his body.
She looks him over thoroughly. I forget how handsome you are. The prodigal son of Azrael the Great. She mocks him. Damn. And gives him a teasing wink. I am not putting my people to death. You tell him that and leave my city at once, she orders him sternly. Samira, we both know I'm not leaving. Azrael won't accept that. He takes a cautious step closer. We need to resolve the problem here and now. Why? She interrupts him and plays with the water. We already dealt with the deformed babies, a sacrifice to the fish god. Her tone is proud and sarcastic. She turns around and walks up to him, gives him a greedy smooch, and whispers into his ear, What exactly are you planning on doing about it? She looks into his eyes and he can't keep her out of his head. There is no mind Samira can't read. This is her particular talent, and he knows that she knows everything. How sweet. The prodigal son fell in love with a Tartarian. She begins to laugh uncontrollably and places her hand on her chest as if she needs to catch her breath. But she is just mocking him. She is never serious, and everything is a game to her, a sick game. Figure out another way to deal with my little problem, or I will tell him. She threatens him firmly and skips back towards the fountain like a little girl. Malcolm doesn't say anything more and leaves the town square feeling defeated. He orders his men to round up the genetically impure Phoenician men and knows he will need to channel Azrael's power in order to finish the task. He stands upright with his hands firmly by his side. At the entrance of an empty warehouse, it is just outside of the big city and he feels like a dictator. He explains why this needs to happen to the 1,081 Phoenician men standing in neat rows in front of him, and he has no emotions, nor do they. Your sacrifice is appreciated, and Mother Nature thanks you for your contribution. The heaven bearers, your creator, Samira, thank you for your service, but you are defective and perfection is expected. Samira unexpectedly appears next to him with a cheeky smile on her face, and she leans in to lick the side of his face. I warned you, Malcolm, she scoffs softly, and she has a sadistic aurora around her. She stares at the ornamental dagger hanging on the wall and blinks at it. It flies off the wall, where it was mounted, and flies towards Malcolm, directly for his heart. Just as it is about to reach him, it changes direction and heads in the direction of the Phoenicians lined up patiently and waiting to die. One by one, they drop to the floor and turn to dust as the dagger punctures each one in the heart, quickly and painlessly. Samira loses the cheeky smile on her face, drops to her knees, and screams out in anger, Azrael, no! Her voice echoes throughout the entire warehouse and bounces back off of the walls. It takes no more than 5 minutes, and all of the Phoenicians are dead, and their souls drift up to the canopy, where they will find everlasting peace. Malcolm waits for the last man to drop to the floor and turns to dust. He takes a good look around and makes sure the space is empty, turns around swiftly, and prepares to take the long trip back home. His job here is done. Bonnie eventually reaches a bigger city called Sudbury. She stops and sits down on a large flat rock for a moment to catch her breath. She is grateful that she can now take a train the rest of the way to Edmonton. The fact that she has no money doesn't even concern her anymore, not after what has happened over the last few weeks. She enters the train station and walks straight up to the counter and asks for a ticket to Edmonton. The Tartarian lady at the other end of the ticket counter smiles and immediately issues her a ticket and doesn't even ask her for payment. Bonnie is radiating a mesmerizing aura. And she can feel the way the people are reacting around her. They can't help but notice her, but no one dares to stare. Her smile is contagious. Everywhere she goes and everyone she smiles at lights up with a grin that stretches from ear to ear. She enjoys the sight of seeing so many happy souls in one space and relishes the moment. The train arrives 20 minutes later and she boards it, takes a seat at the far end, and goes to sleep. Her dreams are getting more vivid with each passing day. They are intense, unfiltered, and almost a history lesson of what happened when the heaven bearers first slipped through the crack in the firmament and arrived here on Earth. Through the membrane. Last night she dreamt she saw the firmament crack open violently, and she watched as 7 hideous creatures entered, and they call it the Milky Way anyway, just to let y'all know, and landed on the tree of life. Ice cold shrieks radiated down from the canopy and made all the Tartarians drop what they were doing and look up into the sky with fear in their hearts. They moved around like leeches looking for a host, and after a while they decided to rest and regain their strength. Each one carved a hole into the bark of the tree of life and stayed hidden for 6 days and 6 nights. On the 7th day, bad luck, they started to drain her of her energy, and Mother Nature called out in pain, and the Tartarians came to her aid. The heaven bearers waited for them in the canopy, completely naked, exposing their crusty reptilian skin and long claws. Their eyes were a mixture of orange. Is that why Devil Peak is fallen? With a purple hue and a bright red ring around the pupil. The mere sight of their eyes makes Bonnie's body tense up in fear. She sleeps on the train, but it does not wake her up. They had destroyed their last host, the entire body of Earth and all of its inhabitants. They had mined every last resource that could be found, and this depletion and destruction of everything good and pure caused Mother Nature to become sick. It didn't take very long until she died, and with her death, the tree of life died too. Their death resulted in famine, and all of the water dried up at once. It was a slow and excruciating death for the life forms that lived there on Plurth. Plurth no longer exists, and that same fate awaits Earth and her inhabitants unless Bonnie can find a way to expel the heaven bearers and end their rule once and for all. The air in the train becomes ice cold. She can feel her breathing slow down, but she isn't ready to wake up. Her hand clutches the side of the train seat, and she knows treachery will follow soon. She can see the king put on his white and silver robe, followed by his armor, and take the metal poles she found underneath the mansion. He is holding it proudly. The 14 blue stones light up one by one and emit a bright blue haze that is so bright she needs to adjust her eyes in order to look directly at it. And what is the breastplate? The stones, the suit of armor, misnomered as some. And I told you Hebrew is nothing about a religion but a way of life. The Tartarian army, and we didn't worship nothing. We gave thanks to that which is ordered. The Tartarian army is on standby all over the earth, and it waits over 1 billion strong army, all united over the earth, and it waits in anticipation. King Finn, along with his general and 2,000 men, elevate themselves into the canopy and approach these creatures cautiously. There is a rotting stench in the air, and the smell intensifies as they get closer to the creatures. The king stops at once and can feel death in the air, and he tells his men to get into position. My name is King Finn, the ruler and guardian of the Tartarian Empire. Identify thyselves or yourselves at once. He orders and holds the staff of the magical bloodline with a tight and firm grip. Magical bloodline? Azrael licks his lip, and a helpless smile appears on his face. He takes a few steps forward and approaches King Finn slowly, with his arms raised up. My name is Azrael, and we come in peace. Chapter 13, we shall pick up tomorrow. Maybe I'll come back later. I can read. I love it. There's other books like this one. I'm just saying. Exposing the expositions. 1851, 1950. Revised 2021 edition from the 2019 by Howdy Muskowski. Excellent read. So we was reading yesterday, World's Original Ferris Wheel. So anyway, we're at Congress. What were called the Congresses were very popular. Remember, that's Chicago. And that's not how it's pronounced, but that's easy for you to say it. Chicago. Chicago is Chicago. What were called the Congresses were very popular. They were not held at the fairgrounds, per se, but in a building at Grand Park, seating for 3,000 people. They were basically 2 or 3 weeks long lectures, sessions, each on a special subject such as finance, health, women's issues, railroads, history, folklore, science, philosophy, peace, psychology, or religion. And the first series to open was on women's progress on May 15, 1893. This is a re-education camp, y'all. The segment that has gained the most notoriety was called The Parliament of the World's Religions and ran from September 11 to September 27. It is claimed to be the first gathering of representatives of all the major religious traditions from the West and East. Look into that ridiculous Theosophical Society. Okay. And it ran from September 11 to September 27. It is claimed to be the first gathering of representatives of all the major religious traditions from the West and East. Here, one could hear not just Christian lectures, we know it's bullshit, but Buddhist, Taoist, Islamic, or Hindu. For most Americans, it would be the first time these non-Christian religions could have been encountered. Of course, because they were just created. Dr. Barros remarked, "It's religion," in parentheses. Great part in human history can be impressively told. Its achievements can be narrated. Its vast influence over art, ethics, education, liberty can be set forth. Its present condition can be indicated. Its missionary activities can be described. That means they're explaining something that can be. And best of all, the spiritual of mutual love of cosmopolitan fraternity can be disclosed and augmented, changed, even in a new narrative. While most of their speeches were about the wonders of following their own faith, some used it as a platform to attack the present world order, such as one Hindu monk who claimed, "We have been told to accept Christianity," he said, "because Christian nations are prosperous. We look at England, the richest Christian nation of the world. Why is she rich and prosperous? Because she has her foot upon the neck of 250 million Asiatics." We read history and we see everywhere that Christianity has conquered prosperity by cutting the throats of its followers. At such a price, the Hindu will have none of it. I would have been curious to have been there to see the audience's response. And I believe his point was not to attack the foundation of the Christian religion, only to attack those who were operating nations under its name. A very interesting speaker who I would have loved to have heard was Mary C. Collins. Very familiar I am. Called Winona by the Sioux Indians. She lived for many years with Sitting Bull on the prairie and stated in Bancroft's book that she had gone back and forth among them by day and night without meeting with a discourteous word or look, claiming for the Sioux a nobility of character which the world does not seem willing to accord. Even to have the complete transcript of her talk would be a gift for the world right now. Add who the expos inspired. One of the reasons I wanted to revise this book was to present some of the very unique research that has come up since the original book was written. More a presentation on how the Chicago Fair specifically seems to influence some of the most important cultural and psychological elements of the whole 20th century. It will end with a more in-depth look at how ancient Egypt was presented at the fair and show as another example. In parentheses, it states that I will get into more when discussing the St. Louis Fair. End parentheses, that these expos were in fact designed to create the new historical narrative. Division, people. How do you conquer? By dividing. The 1893 exposition directly influences L. Frank Baum, the writer of the Wizard of Oz series. And didn't I break that down to y'all? In parentheses, books, it states, books that many believe might present insights from several areas, both positive and negative, about the nature of this reality. End. Books, people. There are claims that the White City was explicit inspiration for his Emerald City of Oz. And in parentheses, it states where people entering were set up by the wizard to wear green glasses in order to make the city appear greener than it actually was. End of parentheses. Perhaps a reference that the White City was made to appear whiter than it really was. Another inspired by the fair was Edgar Rice Burroughs, famous fantasy author of such works as Tarzan of the Apes and various novels on the journey to the center of the earth. His personal writings detail descriptions of his times at the exposition, where he wound up working for his father who had an exhibit at the fair. Then there is Elias Disney, father of Walt, who is claimed to have been a construction worker at the expo, and later went on to have his own contracting firm in Chicago. These are three key names who shaped the next 100 years with their stories. Certainly Disney's son Walt and his parks, it states in parentheses, and connection with the formation of NASA, and in parentheses, was a major creator of the shaping of the minds via his retelling of old fairy tales, as well as Baum, who in a sense created the key fairy tale of the 20th century. Be reminded that Baum had been a writer in Kansas before the fair, where he wrote several articles at the time of Sitting Bull's death and Wounded Knee about how it was time for the American Indian to be exterminated. The very Columbian westward progress the 1893 exposition symbolized. But perhaps even more bizarre is the two Egyptian temples that appeared at the exposition. The first was in the Midway on the streets of Cairo, and whose guidebook cost 5 cents. This little 3-page guide to the Temple of Luxor. Do we know about Luxor gambling casino? Anyway, spelled that way incorrectly, was a one-room exhibit inside a modified temple building with 2 obelisks out front. The guidebook gives explanations of the symbolic carvings and hieroglyphs on the walls, because that shows that the Anunnakis ruled all the lands. It gives explanations of the symbolic carvings and hieroglyphs on the walls, and it states in parentheses, of which I can find no photo of, end, and details the 10 royal mummies that were on display. Another guidebook informs that these are the 10 mummies famous for the Holy Bible, and detail each exactly how they persecuted the people in the Bible. This exhibit was set up to tell a specific tale of ancient Egypt, because you know why? They were the betrayers. I can come up with no definitive information, and this is true. If there were real mummies there, and if so, were they the genuine ones sent from Cairo? Generic mummies that were pretended to be the pharaohs or perhaps just made in Chicago before the fair? An article I found put out by the Field Museum of Chicago in discussion of the Egyptian mummies in its collection claimed that the mummies they currently have all came after 1894 in an expedition they took to Egypt. In parentheses, it states, and his next part is important. And this next part is important, excuse me. End. Because there were no actual mummies at the 1893 exposition. So this Egyptian temple at the fair is presenting presenting a list of famous royal mummies on display, yet the very historians in charge of the exhibits claimed there were no mummies? Who or what was on display and why? And we know they found thousands of mummies here. But that is not the only odd Egyptian temple at the exposition. The Western Electric Company set up 3 displays, one of which was an Egyptian temple that had on the outside modernized figures and hieroglyphic inscriptions, including the addition of electric lights, with them as if right away blending the ancient past and the modern world into one homogeneous whole. According to one of the 1893 guidebooks, outside, most uniquely with Egyptian figures and groups associated with electricity, for instance, there is a group of Egyptian maidens of the time of Ramses II operating a telephone board, and another group who remembers Baghdad Battery. Anyway, another group is of men of the same period laying telephone lines. The conceit is very popular. Concept, excuse me. It says conceit, but the concept is very popular. They had actors pretending to be ancient Egyptians act as if they were working telephones and laying in telegraph lines. I get the sense there is actually a clue here underneath the obvious marketing tool, that this is a subtle claim to the great use of energy and electricity of the ancient past, of course, and that the modern uses of electricity are not new inventions, but are direct descendants of that past. The same with the putting of the electric lights with the modernized reliefs, a subtle clue just how close the ancient past to 1893 really was. It is a reminder that as one continues to look into these fairs, the more oddities, strangeness, clues, and symbols keep appearing. They are like a never-ending research experiment. Next, we'll get into fires. Remember I stated when I worked in East Orange, New Jersey at Einstein's warehouse, I knew 2 old men there that was around 1999, 2000. And these gentlemen were well over 100. And they said that they were here stealing everything from us. They said that, and all the people I would bring over there to talk with them, they loved the company, to seeing us. They were tall, man. They were like, see, Bill was 6'4", and Tiny was 6'2". Bill was 6'4", Tiny was 6'2". They're actually in some pictures working on the movie booth, which they were refurbishing, something that was ancient. He says because when they were kids, they watched movies, and their parents were parents before them. They knew people who lived over 200 years. And I was like, okay, well, who are you? We're the Indians of this land. I had the pleasure of meeting old folks, just like my great ancestors, my great uncles, who fought in the fictional Civil War. That's why I have no respect for pale skins claiming to be us. I have no respect for the Mongols who disrespect us, and they don't have a word for me. And these half-baked, sad, pathetic black African Americans or Africans or whatever, these people that don't know no real history at all. Hold on, let me do something right quick. I'm tired of getting all this playing. All right, I don't do that. And I'd be damned if somebody sitting talking about, I knew you was live, then what the hell are you doing? Yeah, I'm live right now, so don't send another message because it's coming out on my screen. I didn't remove the what you called. I appreciate it. Yeah, but it is what it is. Thanks, sis. You know I'm live right now, right? On YouTube. God damn it, why'd I do that? Thanks, sis, but I'm live on YouTube right now, honey. But yeah, I know. I'll get back at you. Don't nobody talk or nothing. When I go live, everybody wants to call. Everybody wants to send messages. Oh, it's no problem, but it's funny. I should have turned it off on here. What am I doing? I want to share something with my brothers and sisters, all right? If you're going to eat dark chocolate, and it is best to have 2 per day, 2 pieces. And I don't have to have it every day. But you know how we were growing up? Without guidance, we would eat the whole thing. Do you know the damage that did? And see, the funny thing is, Scientists and doctors, people who know about this, don't eat it. Do you know everybody eat their steaks rare? Oh my God. I'm using myself. It's because honey, I'm live. It seems like when I go live, everybody wants to message me. They don't even want to talk or nothing else. I am live right now, so hit me up in a minute, all right? Stuck on Facebook all day. I don't see how people can be stuck on Facebook all the time. Those people I love, they don't know how to listen. As if I don't know what I'm saying. Everybody's talking about stuff I've been saying for decades. Oh my God. What is this? I am live on YouTube and everybody wants to message me right now. Did you come in and look? Do not do that because notifications are on. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, hon. It's like, come on. No bad films, but Esther, come on. If you were watching me live on YouTube, don't send me a message. Notifications on, people. There's no hate, you know that. And I'm very, very diplomatic. I am just very straightforward. You know? There's no effeminate man here. So I'm going to say what needs to be said so some of you women listen. I shouldn't have to say that. You should know better by now, but some of you don't. This chocolate is so good. But anyway, 2 pieces is more than enough. This is caramel. Oh. Oh my God. I love my people, man. But watch. Don't say nothing. That's what's wrong with all y'all. You don't have to watch and just be quiet. Call me. Ask me 1,000 questions. You can ask me 1,000,000 questions. And I will answer as best I can. Everybody feels like they have to say something, which is beautiful. No, again. I'm going to turn the notifications off on here whenever I'm doing a live. I don't get them on my laptop. I'm going to do an open mic. Because I think I've given more than enough information to be able to have these conversations about certain things. And I love my people. And no, it tickles me. I'm not, if it does it look like I said, I'm strictly man. Sigma. All right? And I don't know about that, like alpha and all that other shit. But stop, excuse my language. But I love it. No, so that's why you don't hear it because I do turn it off here. God damn, a piece of salt. But on air, I just turn it down. That's why you heard bing bing. So if you did hear it, let me turn it down. But yeah, yes, no hate, man. I don't have it. We have to be practical. If we don't have love, man, we don't have nothing. I'm serious. If we don't have love, we don't have nothing. And our Mother Earth is still very vibrant and alive. She's more powerful than you can. But they're doing their best to keep us from being able to connect. They've got all the hertz and gigahertz. They have more noise all around us. Noise you cannot hear. And I mean it's loud. And there's things flying around. There's things up there. There's things I can't, they're not good. They're not good. There's things up there. I went in the military to try and find out what I could, but I couldn't even get into the fields to do that. So somebody knew something, I guess. I don't know. But there are things, y'all. And they could reveal and let go right now, and y'all wouldn't have a chance. I think the game is to see how close y'all can come to. And I just wish y'all would listen and wake up. Get off of those damn platforms, y'all. I go on Instagram because people ask questions. People have been following me like crazy out of nowhere. So I'm always getting these questions. So I go, and my boy Job Bricks from North, he's a rapper, he's a musician and everything, and some other people, I'm not gonna say their name, and they'll hit me, send messages. So I get these things and I'll do a remix, and I'll be like, okay, now ask them, hey, is this copywritten? No. So I know that two things that YouTube saw is somebody with some fake pink and red hair, some little sellout wants to betray you, think they're going to be in the window. Some lower people, y'all. Trust me when I say lower people. Lower things. You're high. You're high on the totem pole of truth. So they just do what they can because that's the only control they have. We don't bark at it. No need to. Never fret about it. I would entertain them with asking questions to see what their response is. Always a test. And as usual, they don't fail me. So, because they're too weak. If they knew better, they would do better. They don't know what do better is. But anywho, I'm going to come back on a little later, and I want to get into the Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants, and the Book of America. And I broke it up like that because I could have just kept reading. I said that's just a little too long. And make sure the subscription bell's up. Get in contact with other people you may have gotten in contact with before to subscribe, and let them know, hey, look, ever since the new stuff, you have to check you have to check out the subscription. You got to make sure that the notification bell is on because all of them are removed. And with that, we'll be able to get. What are you doing? We'll be able to get more people involved. Now, remember this. I stated I'm not here to knock what you share, but make sure you know what you're sharing with me, because I don't want to just see. I don't like looking at any and everything. If you found something I spoke specifically about, then take that and add it to your. I don't need proof. I'm my own proof. I am my own proof. I exist. So if you find something, you want to extrapolate as far as more information, then we can have that conversation. I don't need to see nothing. If you want to know, though, what do I think about something, then ask that. And I will speak what I think about it. Look, man, this body could break down just like yours. Trust me. But we need to elevate one another. Us men can't do it if the women aren't exerting their true power. And we can't protect them if we aren't exerting ours. Y'all like to stay in the company of cowards when you need to get in the company of wolves in a pack. Anyway, I'm going to give a shout out. And I'm going to get off of here and relax and get ready for another 2 hours. I am hungry as if I got a tapeworm, y'all. I don't have a tapeworm, don't worry. But them bangs, I'm about to take them bangs and put some work in on them. You hear me? No, let me stop that. Let me give a shout out. ABGI, what's cracking? Mikey Hill, peace, brother. West Side, what's up, love, brother? Mama Red, the ladies in the house. Benji, what's going on, family? Great Wolf, thank you. Yes, Shamil Thomas was cracking. Oh, and also, hey, all right. Big Pontiac's greeting, brother. That's the one, man, to let y'all know if y'all all into that NFL and all that crap. He'll let you know how fraudulent it is. And I was a big fan of sports until I realized my Uncle Lonnie Wright, Denver Broncos, and my Uncle John Amos, Kansas City Chiefs. They say they don't even watch this stuff, but they'll play the part, though. They'll fool you. He can show you. Y'all saw the football with the glove stuck. I'm just saying. I know when I played, something wasn't right. Equator 7, what's cracking? Chukma family. Yes, Equator 7, yes, appreciate it. Rip Floyd! Anyway, I appreciate everybody. We still send energy. If you want to say prayers, it's fine. We still send energy to those of us. We share it amongst each other, and we allow it to illuminate out, so it can affect those who need it as well. Because we can't just be one energy battery walking around, we're in seriously. There's nothing wrong. Screenshots, sharing the energy, and it's up to us, y'all. It really is up to us. All right. I appreciate everybody that came in. So we'll read a little while, and we have surveyors in building today. Oh yeah, you know how it is, especially in the nursing. Oh my goodness, surveyors, what they about to build, what they about to do. I got to get off of here, but what they about to do? Well, hit me up in Messenger, all right? Whatever, give me and let me know, okay? I mean, if you're at home, whatever, just let me know. Or tomorrow, let me know what's going on with the surveyor things. Inspectors. Oh, okay. When you say surveyors, you know what I know what surveyors. Surveyors mean they thought they were going to do some work or something. Inspectors are full of crap too. All this food and all that. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Right. But anyway, let me get off of here. Love y'all. For the ladies, always tip my hat to y'all. And for the gentlemen, salute. You know where we're at. Check out the 2 shorts I loaded up, all right? I got hundreds of them. I just want to be careful what I upload. Mom Red, you get your round behind over here. And then give you about 18 more cheerings. No, I'm just kidding. Let me stop. I'm serious. No, let me stop. The only problem is I could take care of them. We old school. And I mean, I'm real old school. Like, real old school. You ever get around certain people and you get a comfortable feeling, and then there's sometimes when you fight your own feeling because you can't figure it out, and then you realize that you're fighting nothing, that you're fighting yourself when there's nothing to be fought? You ever been like that? I know some people that visit, I can guarantee you, and it's always about being comfortable and pragmatic in being comfortable. When comfortable should be normal always at all times. I don't care if you're constipated sitting on the toilet. You're supposed to be on that mug and lift your legs and feet up where you're just sitting like a dreidel on the toilet seat and let everything out. Comfortable. I don't care if you got to pop one eye out. If you got to pop it out, pop them out. Get the Huckleberry Hobo Robofuck position. Now that's when you're about to break it off up. You done had your battle at Jack D. And you done, and she done came out with the big flowered nightgown on all the way down to all you see is the ankles. You like, them ankles, baby, is that lotion or Vaseline? And you know how it is. And she turns around and whips one big one on you, and they got cornbread and fried a baked chicken in the. You know how it is. Let me stop. All right. I'll chat with y'all later. Love y'all.